So guys, let's start our new topic on an important disease which is the peptic ulcer disease. So moving on to its growth features, we found there is sharply punched out defects in mucosa. So there is a defect in mucosa which is actually so much erupted that it looks like a punched out deformity. And look at this image. Here you see this is the punched out defect in mucosa seen in endoscopy of stomach. And there are two kinds of complication which can be found in this disease. So number one complication is perforation, and number two complication is the hemorrhage. So it may erupt the blood vessels which can cause the hemorrhage in localized area. So look at this image, and here you can find this is the erupted sharply punched out defects in mucosa with hyperemic borders, and it can cause the perforation. There are basically two types of peptic ulcer disease. Number one, gastric type, which is more common, and it is present in fundus and antrum of stomach. Here look at this. This is the fundus and this is the antrum of stomach. Here you can find the gastric type of peptic ulcer disease. And the second most common type is the duodenal peptic ulcer, which is found in the anterior wall of first part of duodenum. Here you can find this. So this was all about the gross features of peptic ulcer disease. Now let's move to the microscopic features of this disease. So this is very important section, and here you have to remember that it has 4 zones of mucosal damage. Number one is a superficial necrotic zone. In this necrotic zone we can find there is significant damage to the cells of epithelium which can cause the necrosis, and as a result the dead debris of cells can accumulate and it may cause the erosion on the surface of stomach. So this is superficial necrotic zone. Here look at this illustration. The second zone is exudative zone. So it happens that due to superficial damage of this epithelium, there is release of some kind of fluid in surrounding of this necrotic zone which can cause the formation of exudation fluid, and this zone is called the exudative zone, and it can be recognized by the presence of fluid and inflammation with a numerous amount of neutrophils. Here look at this illustration. And the third zone is the granulation zone, which is actually the healing of this exudative zone, and it can be recognized by the presence of increased amount of blood vessels. So there is vascular congestion along with the presence of neutrophils and macrophages. The macrophages here are actually the main cells which can cause the healing of this part of damage. So this is the granulation zone. And the number 4 and the last zone is the cicatrization zone, which is also known as the scarring zone. So as a result of this repair of the damaged mucosa, the macrophage lays down a large number of collagen, especially the type 4 collagen, which causes the increased deposition of scarring tissue and fibrous tissue in this zone, along with the removal of all kind of dead debris of cells. So this zone is recognized by the scarring and the fibrosis of stomach mucosa. So this was the zone 4, also known as the cicatrization zone. Now it's time to look at the real histological image of peptic ulcer disease. And here you see the continuity of this epithelium is disrupted by this damaged area, which is recognized by number 1, the necrotic zone, and below down we can find the fluid accumulation, which is known as the exudative zone, and below down we can find the presence of a large number of macrophages and neutrophils, which is known as the granulation zone, and lastly we can find the healing zone, which is the scarring zone or the cicatrization zone. So this was all about the peptic ulcer disease, an important topic of gastrointestinal morphology.